Here's your scientifically selected career.
Architect.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance salesman.
Mm-hmm.
Salmon cutter. Military strongman. Systems analyst. Systems analyst. Systems analyst.
Systems analyst.
All right!
This joke, delivered by Martin Prince, is the main point of this episode's story. Well, this down-to-earth sentence by Marge is actually the main point.
Lisa, there are a lot of people in the world who like to tell you what you can't do, but they don't always know what they're talking about.
But anyway, Separate Vocations begins with students at Springfield's underfunded public elementary school taking the Career Aptitude Normalizing Test, a standardized test created by a third party outside of the student's own educational institution. The test is assessing the student's application to a normative field. What the hell are you talking about? Scientific academia and normative academia. The difference between them is not that scientific academia is objective or not ever subject to change, but rather that scientific knowledge is able to be applied wherever and whenever. Let's look at an example. 2 hydrogen atoms covalently bond with an oxygen atom to create water. This is true here on Earth today. It is also true on the planet Neptune. And it is true 1,000,000 miles adjacent to the planet Denisovia, 5 billion miles away from us. This is all true today. But it would also be true 5 billion years away from us, whether in the future or in the past. Water will form from these components. This fact is a product of scientific academia, application which is universalizable. Now, let's take a normative subject, pop psychology, for example. You can only reliably talk about a type of person in some places at some times. For example, imagine you spoke to a native in Sweden today and asked, "First country that comes to your head beginning with the letter D!" Likely they would answer this question with the country Denmark. But if you asked the same question to a native of Haiti, you might get a different answer. Also, in 500 years in the future, if you were to ask a native of Sweden the same question, they might answer with the Soviet Republic! And in addition, if anybody you asked that question to were to answer as you expected them to, you could then just tell them why they answered like that. And they may then say, "Oh, now I know. From now on I won't answer like that anymore." You can see that when compared to a fact from scientific academia, a fact from normative academia cannot be universally applied with reliability. The knowledge of normative academia is taught as true, and it could be true in the majority of instances today. But it could also be whatever we choose to make it be.
Anyway, back to the episode.
The relevance of all that being, can something as complex and nebulous as an individual mind be accurately determined by an exam made up of 50 questions where the evaluated choose what to input?
Here's your scientifically selected career.
Architect.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to that misplaced arrogance, scientifically chosen, as if it is. That reverberated with that assumed infallibility, as if to say, yes, of course it is, and that's immutable. These are the students' test results.
Architect. Insurance salesman. Salmon cutter. Military strongman. Homemaker. Police officer.
And then there's Martin.
Analyst. Systems analyst.
Systems analyst.
All right!
Now, as the title of this video suggests, you may say upon watching,
What? Were you under the influence when you thought of this? The writers didn't intend anything like that. With this throwaway joke, project much? You're cringe. I want you to suffer.
to which I'll say, before continuing to outline the depth of this joke, which reflects the message of the episode. The Simpsons writers are Harvard grads. Martin might be a character close to their experience. Granted, you have to be intelligent to be able to attend Harvard. But you also have to be aware of what the institutions want to see from you. You have to be aware of the criteria and method the institutions have chosen to systematically assess and determine your ability. For example, if a higher education essay asks you to explain why Ring the Bell succeeds or fails in being an entertaining media production, or why the majority of the population of the Denisovian Republic support the First War of Expansion, or how you use images in your fiction to convey meaning, you shouldn't answer honestly with sincerity like Bart and Lisa do. Even if the knowledge you present is true, and even if you can present solid reasoning as to why it is true from the foundations, your educational institution does not want you to answer that way. What you actually have to do is to cite established academics who have already written knowledge about these subjects. And you do this to prove that you have read what they've said and remembered the selected input that the institution gave you. If you can't find an academic source that has already said what you want to say, then you can't say it, and it can't be knowledge. But after all, it could be said that this academic assessment gauntlet is just a means to an end, not for integrity. It's all for grades, which you will need to then be able to get what you want. Martin is aware of this to the extent that he is on occasion seen being able to leave class early because he knows not only the knowledge of the subject, but also how he is secretly expected to arrange and present it, as well as what he must omit. He can, perhaps with almost cynical detachment, or else with advocacy of the institution's method, remove all aspects of himself or additional knowledge, relevant, superior or not, to do what is required in order to acquire the outcome he desires. And that is the joke here.
Systems analyst. Systems analyst.
Systems analyst.
All right!
Martin has worked out what the career test wants from him. He's accurately ascertained its criteria and by what method the test systematically assesses the student's answers. He's analyzed the system. He's a systems analyst. But the joke gets even deeper than that. It becomes a meta joke. Martin is trolling the test and making a joke out of it. Martin can understand the construction of the exam system so well that he can make the test output any result that he wants based on the answers he chooses to input. Not only is Martin evidently a successful systems analyst, he is in fact so effective that he can operate the test with calculated answers to tell him and everyone that he is a systems analyst. If Martin wanted the test to tell him his career is to be a goo-goo boo-boo poo-poo man, his analytical awareness of the test system is so precise that he would be able to select the certain specific answers in the exam to provide him that result. Goo-goo boo-boo poo-poo man, goo-goo boo-boo poo-poo man, goo-goo boo-boo poo-poo man, goo-goo boo-boo poo-poo man.
All right!
But analyzing the system in order to understand which inputs he needs to input in order to make the system output the term systems analyst is much more circular, meta, and of course, for Martin, nerdy. He's not happy he's a systems analyst here. He's happy he's gamed the system. And while Lisa suffers due to her trust in a system of authority on knowledge, and Bart is utilized and co-opted as he begins to see benefit from a system of authority on knowledge, Martin wins as he manipulates that system for his survival and entertainment. There's a lot more to this episode. The hypocrisies of authority, actual camera frame direction for storytelling. The ending is brilliant. I remember first seeing it as a kid, satisfied with a complete story, but also left with a rich, complex set of emotions. Bart's sacrifice stings so much. It's so bittersweet and executed so quickly and efficiently. And that Milhouse becomes the oppressor immediately is a great painful touch of injustice. It's a top-tier episode, not for its comedy, but for its tamer, old-season sentimental stories of emotion, which makes it an anomaly among the top tier. This is the planet Mars. It is a moon 500 billion light years away from us. The universe is made of literally hundreds of atoms.